Hello, guys, and welcome back to League One predictions. It's also League Two predictions as well, because we are predicting the EFL League One and League Two playoff semi-final first legs today. We've got a lot to talk about, and as always, I'm joined by the amazing Benjamin Bloom. How are you?
It's the most wonderful time.
Of the year.
I should sing that at Christmas, but it's playoff time, everybody. Drink it in. Unless you're like Matt and you support one of the teams that's in the playoffs and you're gonna have a stressful week. But if you're like me watching, get your popcorn out, get your TV all scheduled and enjoy the chaos.
Absolutely. No, Ben, I tell you what, I'm excited for it as a Coventry fan. I enjoy the semis, the final, not so much. I feel like the semis,
No.
you feel like you've got quite a way to go to be promoted. But once you're in the final, it's like, oh my gosh, it's now or never sort of thing. And yeah, we will see what happens in League One and League Two. As I say, we're predicting them today. I just want to do a final touch on last week, guys, because it was the final week in League One. I'll flash up the scores there, where I managed to close the gap on Ben as we head into the playoffs. I think you're still 6 ahead, Ben, but we've got a few right between us. Birmingham City finished with 111 points, Ben. Wrexham were already promoted, and the main thing was Leyton Orient wrapped up their final playoff place. It's been a really interesting League One campaign, hasn't it?
And the sale or the departure of Mr. Dai Young from Reading has gone through as well, which I think everybody can be pleased about. Yeah, I mean, not quite the drama we had at the top of League Two or all the way down the Championship, where with 12 minutes to go, we could have had a change in the title winner. Well, we did. We could have had a Blackburn goal would have changed the playoff picture, and a Pompey goal against Hull would have changed relegation. We've been following this. We knew it was locked up at both ends. But yeah, well done, Leyton Orient. I don't know how you felt about it, but there was almost a bit of a sense when we were like on the Orient Express and having a bit of fun with it, where I didn't actually believe they were going to get in there in the end. But there they are, 78 in the playoffs, and yeah, well, we'll talk about the fixture coming up. But yeah, a great League One season, and I've really enjoyed covering it.
Absolutely. And I'll echo what you said about Reading. Really happy for the Reading fans there. Guys, before we get into our predictions for the League One and League Two playoff semi-final first legs, let's go for some support. Be sure to hit the like button if you haven't already. It takes 2 seconds, and make sure you are subscribed over here and to Benjamin Bloom. We've both got EFL playoff coverage on our channels, so take 2 seconds to subscribe here and hit that first link in the description and subscribe to Ben's channel. Make sure to get involved. Ben, let's get into this. Stockport County go away to Leyton Orient. I am already really excited for this because it's two form teams. It's two really impressive teams. And we've said for the longest time, Ben, that good teams are not going to go up this year because there's that many of them. You're kicking us off for this one. How do you see this going?
Oh, there's so many theories, isn't there? There's streaky Leyton Orient, first of all, and they are on a winning streak once again, but do winning streaks count in tournament football? I don't know whether they do. We'll leave that one over to the comments. Stockport finishing third in the end. I mean, we can parlay that into the Wycombe conversation we're going to have in a minute. We certainly, when we were doing our totting up of this 2-horse race for second place, didn't have the other team in the race for second place finishing fifth in the end. But Stockport, 87, obviously up from League Two. So they've had an absolutely brilliant season. But now here we go into tournament football. And Matt as well. All season, we've backed Dave Challinor as a sturdy manager with a strong team setup. And yes, they're in great form. But it's the Stockport clean sheet a thing of the past as well. I'm looking at the last 5, 3-1 win, 1-1 draw, 2-1 win, 3-2, 3-1, and okay, last game of the season was that comeback win against Wycombe, which was sort of a dead rubber. But what it does mean is that Stockport have taken that third place spot, which means the home advantage, and essentially you get the weakest team. So really, really excited. And Matt, we've got to look at this over 180 minutes. It's a difficult one for us, isn't it? Because the managers their tactics are over the 180, and we often get cagey first legs, particularly from the away teams, don't we? Who think, right, if we can make this not a 180-minute game, but we can make this a one-off game in the home game under the lights, can we do that? And I'm backing that to be the case. I think. Do you know what? I think maybe Stockport might even take the lead in this one, but I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw and it to be decided at Edgeley Park in the second leg. And obviously, I'll keep my powder dry for, well, I'm not going to say anything about the second leg because I can then completely change my mind on that one. But yeah, I'm going to go Orient 1, Stockport 1.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? When I did my championship playoff predictions with Sophie earlier, something I said was, you think back to those first legs in the championship last season, 0-0 and 0-0, and they could be very cagey, tight affairs. No one wants to give the other team an advantage, but 6th and 5th do need to try and nail down some advantage, and by that I mean if they can win by the one goal. You've got so many interesting,
totally agree.
So many interesting stories here, Ben, where both Leyton Orient and Stockport have come from the National League at one point. Leyton Orient, I think it was 11 years ago when they got to the League One playoff final under Russell Slade. 2-0 up in the final, drew 2-2 with Rotherham, Alex Ravel scoring both goals, and Steve Evans, his side, Rotherham, went on to win on penalties. And it felt like a sliding doors moment where Leyton Orient then went down, and now they've come all the way back, and I wonder if they will do it. Obviously, they finished 6th. Stockport have finished 3rd. Stockport have done an incredible job. They've been on a rise with Wrexham. They've been joint at the hip the whole way through. I wonder if they'll go up with them. When I look at the home and away table here, Ben, Stockport are higher than Leyton Orient in the home table, but Leyton Orient are higher than Stockport in the away table. So,
and am I right, Matt? Both of the league games were won by the away team. Is that right?
Correct. We had Leyton Orient 0, Stockport 1, and Stockport 1, Leyton Orient 4. Blimey. But then I suppose one of them would have been back in the first half of the season, 6 months ago.
Was it? Yeah.
Orient, as you say, it depends what streak they're on. They're on a good streak at the minute. I'm just going to back them. I'm going to go 2-1 to Leyton Orient. And I wonder, Ben, I really do wonder. We said this a couple of weeks ago. Stockport's journey seems to be playoffs, then go up, playoffs, then go up. Yeah. Is that going to be the case here? But like I say, there'll still be so much to play for in that second leg. But I'm going Orient 2, Stockport 1. Share your thoughts down below. Let's move on to the next game, Ben. Wycombe Wanderers host Charlton Athletic. And I'm up first for this one. I mean, this is so tough because Wycombe have been so good this season. Obviously, they changed the manager, but then they still kept going good under Dodds.
There's a but coming here, Matt, isn't there?
But they missed out on the top 2, and it can be hard to pick yourselves up. Charlton have been going like a train recently, and that has included a 4-0 away win at Wycombe only last month.
That's massive, isn't it?
And there was the 2-1 win at the Valley as well. So they've done the double over them. Now, if Charlton were to rock up and win 4-0, I think we know who's going to the final. Obviously, it's tournament football. I don't see it being like that. I wonder if we'll get a Matty Godden goal in the first half. Charlton shut up shop, and I'm going to go for the classic Wycombe 0, Charlton 1.
Scribble alert incoming. That's exactly what I had. I try and avoid the anecdotal cliches, and we often get 2 with the playoffs. Someone's going to come out of nowhere and win the playoffs. It literally never happens. You know, the way the league tables work, it's so hard to be a distance away and actually zoom in there. The other one I'm going to pay more heed to, Matt, of if you miss out in a gnarly way on automatic promotion, and we're going to talk about Walsall in a minute, aren't we? It can be really, really hard in terms of the psychology. Fascinatingly as well, Matt, in terms of Wycombe's drop-off. And I believe this is all about Wycombe, this one, because I think we know what we're going to get from Charlton, don't we? They've been so consistent, like you said, for... What do you reckon, mate? Like 5 months? Now they've just been a good side, haven't they? And I know Wycombe were even better than good earlier in the season, but change of manager, change of feeling, change of results. Fascinatingly, the last 3 games of the season, Wycombe played Charlton, Orient, and Stockport, the 3 teams who were also in the playoffs with them, and they lost to each and every one of them. So everything is telling you that despite Wycombe kind of being above Charlton for a lot of the season, that Charlton are, can I say hot favourites, or should I just say favourites? I won't say hot.
Favourites, yeah.
Hype it up too much. But yeah, I talked to Sam Parkin about this earlier. I think this is one of the few ties right the way down where you could foresee a double and someone actually winning both legs, because I'm also going to back Charlton to win the away leg. You've taken the 1-0. Shall I go all in and we go 2-0? Or no, it's playoffs, mate. 2-1 I'll take, but I did scribble the 1-0, and this is purely down to Wycombe's form line trending down at the worst possible time.
Yeah, absolutely. Do share your thoughts, Charlton and Wycombe fans. It does right now look difficult to see Wycombe picking themselves up, but I will point out an example a couple of years ago in League Two, Ben. I think it was 2023. Carlisle United had an incredible season where they're in the top 3 for most of it. Obviously, 3 go up. They slipped away and they went into the playoffs in terrible form, and then they went on to win the playoffs. I think you were there when they beat Stockport at Wembley.
Beat Stockport. Yeah, Paul Simpson, yeah.
It can happen. It can happen where a team looks like they've got absolutely no momentum and then they just turn up, because it is tournament football and anything can happen. And the first game you think here is going to be really decisive.
Do you think Wycombe almost would have been in better nick if, because Wrexham got it done, say, about 10 days before the end of the season? I almost feel Wycombe would be in better nick if they hadn't had time to stew on it, and there's been another game since and the result hasn't gone for them since. Do you know what I mean? I think it lets the funk set in, and obviously people will now look at Mike Dodds. And look, Matt Bloomfield's going to be in League One next season with Luton now after that extraordinary final day there. But yeah, I don't know how he picks them up. But hey, I'm repeating myself, Matt. Please, if you're a Wycombe fan, tell us, smarten us up. Tell us in the comments. Yeah,
we're always happy to be proven wrong with our predictions as well. It's not that we don't want Wycombe to go up. I think we pointed this out last week, Ben. Don't lose to Stockport, please, because then you're going into the playoffs having lost to all 3 teams you're competing in the playoffs against. You couldn't write that, could you? Right, let's move on to League Two, Ben. This should be interesting. We obviously do need to point out that we're not as well versed on League Two as League One. Obviously, we haven't been covering it every week, but we have followed it in some way, shape or form this season. The promotion race has been really good. We have Notts County versus AFC Wimbledon up first, Ben. Both clubs back in the top flight going back to the 80s. Obviously, that was the original Wimbledon. It'd be a great story to see either of these get promoted. You're up first for this one. I'm interested to see what you have to say on this.
Yeah, so I've got a bit of an advantage because I did speak to Parkin earlier, and he's been back and forward to Bradford and Notts and Wimbledon and Chesterfield many times this season, and indeed Walsall. So Notts County, with my Ipswich Town hat on, still have one David McGoldrick, and he's still one of the... I mean, he lost his ability to kind of run and kick powerfully about, 6 or 7 years ago, and he's just this flamboyant show pony of a footballer, just brilliant to watch.
I must say, every time I've seen that he's scored in a game, it's straight to the highlights. I'm like, was it outside the box? Yes, it was.
Chip, curler. He can't score with it. He's had no power in his shots for like 6. They're all curlers and places. He's just a brilliant. And what I will say, my gorgeous, wonderful Mrs. Shaley isn't a football fan. And I took her to watch Ipswich once, and Dave McGoldrick passed the My Missus test, where she wasn't particularly, knowing what was going on. And she went, "Who's that guy? The one with the shaved head and the beard? He's real good fun and flamboyant." And I'm like, right, if he looks flamboyant to my missus, who doesn't give 2 hoots about football, then he must be a great player to watch. So incredible stuff. Right, I'll give you a bit of help. Sam's words about, and he knows Johnny Jackson well, about Wimbledon was that the big strength was defensively. So even though Notts County is not the Luke Williams free scoring, who we had going against the great battles with Wrexham and Chesterfield and whatnot in the National League. There is the sense that you've got a bit more of an attack versus defence type battle going on here. That was Sam's sort of insight on it. So I played the nil effing nil that Jacko's going to want to bring them back to Plough Lane and win it in the second leg and leverage. Remember, Matt, we're not talking about 4th versus 5th. It's 5th versus 6th because we go all the way down to 7th place there. So, I've gone nil effing nil and Wimbledon to try and do it in the second leg.
That is interesting, Ben, that Sam Parkin said that, because I know you can't get everything from looking at the table, but Wimbledon's defensive record has been so good. They've been so tight at the back, only 35 conceded, which is the fewest in the division. What I do find, though, with Notts County is they tend to be the opposite. They tend to be quite fun and entertaining. But it's playoff football, so I'm going to go with the narrative.
That doesn't help teams in the playoffs, does it? How many times, Matt, sorry to interrupt, mate, have we seen a really entertaining side come up? I always remember Ipswich back in the day. George Burley's Ipswich scored tons of goals. Alan Kirbysley's Charlton, no. Just that double clean sheet in the final. They went and beat Sunderland. Sorry, continue, mate.
No, I think you're right, though. I like Notts County, I really do. When I have watched them this season, they've been really fun. But I worry that they've got the capability to go one down in this first leg and go back to, Wimbledon needing to win, or even 2 down. And there's goals in them. I've already written down my prediction. I'll say it. I've gone 1-0 to Notts County. And I was about to say, before you said it, I reckon David McGoldrick curls one in from outside the box. Just looking at the record.
75 minutes in, yeah.
Maybe, yeah. 15 to go, yeah. I've looked at the results between these two this season. Notts County did win the home game 1-0. Wimbledon won when they were at home 2-0. So I wonder, Notts County got to
try. Clean sheets in both, yeah.
Got to try and take something from the home advantage. So I will go 1-0 to Notts County, which with both of our predictions sets up for a very intriguing second leg. Like you say, at Plough Lane. Ben, now this one, there's a lot to talk about with Chesterfield versus Walsall. Like we said, we haven't covered League 2 often this year, but one thing I did notice, Ben, back in January, was Walsall were 20 points clear.
We're promoted.
Yeah, I was already getting ready to put them in our League 1 predictions for next season. I was like, right, they're going up. And then I look, and they're 10 points clear, then they're 5 points clear, and then there was a point where Bradford and Walsall both weren't winning for the last couple of weeks, and then Bradford have just pipped them. So congratulations to Bradford on being promoted with Doncaster and Port Vale. We'll see them in League 1 next year. It's going to be so hard for Walsall to pick themselves up, Ben. They have been in dreadful form. They did win on the final day, but it was too little too late. And it's so heartbreaking. I mean, they've completely blown it, and they had it taken from them in the final minutes of the season. So really hard to pick yourselves up from this. I wonder, if they go and win this, it shows incredible character, and do they then become the favourites? But I'm not sure if they're going to win this, Ben. Chesterfield have just got in there, and I agree with you that it's not that 6th and 7th sneaks in and always goes on to win it. I think some people are thinking it's the 90s when the playoffs were a little bit more unpredictable, but they've been in better form, Chesterfield. I'm looking at the results between the two this season. Chesterfield didn't win either of them. It was 2-2 at Chesterfield and 3-1 to Walsall at the Poundland Stadium, Ben. I'm going to go 2-0 Chesterfield. Huge result.
And a scribble.
Oh!
Again. Yeah, it was. Yeah, so I was going to go for the big, because I know people will look at like Leeds and Derby maybe, and obviously Sheffield Wednesday and Peterborough, and think, we can rewrite the rules about, say, losing at home in the first leg or coming back from 2. But it's so rare. We can't look at the exceptions as making the rules. And generally, a 2-goal lead, you're done, aren't you? You're in the final. Sides of this quality as well. So my understanding about Walsall as well, Matt, and yes, you're right to raise it happened in the 96th minute of the last round, but it was a long time coming, wasn't it? They've been so poor. And it's not just a side being poor; it's the contrast of a side being so good. I think there was a point where they won 8, 9 in a row or
Yeah.
something ludicrous, didn't they? And to go from one extreme to the other, I believe the lad at Stoke, Nathan Lowe, who got recalled, was scoring a lot of their goals. So I think they suffered badly from being never fall in love with a lone player, guys. You know the rules. But they suffered badly from having their, the main kind of goal threat taken from them. And then obviously it's just spiraled. And Chesterfield are managed by Paul Cook, who you and I know a lot about from having studied the Championship, and obviously managed Ipswich, my team as well. So I know exactly how Chesterfield are going to go and set up. And of all the teams in these playoffs in the EFL, they're probably the one you would think they're probably just going to attack, and they're not going to sit in like the majority of teams do. So yeah, even though it's 7th and 4th, I also make Chesterfield favourites. I did have the 2-0, which would be massive, wouldn't it? Because you can almost book your parking space or your train ticket already for Wembley, can't you? So I'll go 2-1 then, Matt, being you've taken the 2-0. But does that mean we're fairly united on who we've got as favourites throughout those ties then, mate?
Looks like it. I think because I've got Orient to win 2-1, it might be a bit more balanced, whereas you've got the draw and Stockport might be more fancied to win that.
Mm.
Otherwise, not a lot. I suppose I've also got Notts County to win by 1 goal, but we both think it's all going to come down to the second legs. Maybe the Chesterfield Walsall one, the most decisive we are going for. And what I will say, Ben, as well about last season, League Two maybe had the most volatile playoffs because Crawley beat MK Dons 8-1. And then I think Crewe came back from 2 down to beat Doncaster in the second leg away from home. And then
Matt,
obviously Crawley went up.
I agree with you, mate. I don't want to sound snotty, but I think the level in the Championship is so high and the execution of the players is so good that will naturally be the most. I think they're just so much. And again, I'm not having a pop at League Two footballers. We love them, we admire them. But as you get further down, I agree, you'll get more volatility in the results. And I think you're more likely to skew high scoring just because I know people will say, oh yeah, what about Leeds 4, Norwich 0 in the second leg? But we'll kind of know that got loose from Norwich, and Ellen Road will go one or two ways, won't it? But I totally agree with you that ability to carry out the game plan, and you saw, firsthand with Coventry's playoff things, 180 minutes and 1 goal, and these players are good footballers, the ones in the Championship, and it can get a bit looser in League Two, I think, to your point.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're looking forward to seeing what happens because obviously one of these League Two teams will be joining us for League One predictions next season. You've got Wimbledon and Walsall, who are both in League One within the last 10 years, and Chesterfield and Notts County, Ben, who've both been down in the National League recently. And that's becoming a bit of a theme here where National League teams are getting quite far now. They're getting to League One. I know these are quite big teams that were in the National League, but I wonder what we'll get. That wraps it up, guys. That is our predictions for the first legs. Do be sure to join us next week when we do predictions for the second legs for League One and League Two. Make sure to play along and get your predictions down in the comments. It takes 2 seconds. Make sure you've liked and subscribed as well, and subscribe to the amazing Benjamin Bloom, where they can find what exactly.
Plenty. I want to see if someone can go 4 for 4 when we've only got 4. Yeah. Can someone do it in the comments? What can people find over at the Benjamin Bloom football channel? God, they can find me exasperated as I pick my team of the season in the Championship, and the comments are utterly filled with nonsense and tears and whatnot. So avoid that one if you want to see me getting stressed out by the comments. Look, free speech ahoy, but come on, put your own team in rather than have a pop at mine. What I have done, Matt, reacting to my pre-season predictions. So everyone loves to have a pop at us YouTubers, Matt, but we're the ones that will go on and literally play clips of us being wrong earlier in the season. So a little bit of fun, but mate, the fun stops there. Playoffs coming in, so excited, mate. And just quickly, how you feeling? How you feeling ahead of Coventry versus Sunderland, where both, spoiler alert, me and Sam Parkin have backed you guys to win the first leg?
Oh, Yeah, I think the pressure's on us in the first leg to go and get the win. We've been better at home. Got a good record against Sunderland. Last 10 games, we've not lost to them once. It's a grudge match as well, Ben, going back to the 70s, because Coventry have relegated Sunderland a few times on the final day back in the top flight. I suppose the Sunderland fans would say it's poetic if they now beat us to the Premier League. As I said earlier, though, excited for the semis. If we get to the final, that's where I get nervous, and especially if we come up against Chris Wilder's Sheffield United. But we will see. We've got a long way to go until we get there.
It's just great. If you've never been in person to playoff football, even if there's tickets available for one of the games lower down, try and get yourself to a game. There is nothing like the tension of these games. Oh my God.
I know. Speaking of which, we will have coverage on both of our channels for the Championship and maybe some of the League One playoff games. So do be sure to join us, and maybe myself and Ben might be able to get to a same game at some point during the playoff campaign. We'll work it out. But be sure to support us. Keep your support coming on the channels. And like I say, we'll see you next time for the second leg predictions. Take care, everyone, and peace out.